Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into W. Edwards Deming's revolutionary philosophy from his 1986 classic Out of the Crisis. And we're going to see exactly how it completely transforms maintenance planning. Look, if you're working in maintenance operations, you already know how rigid things can get. But Deming's famous 14 points, they completely shatter those old expectations. We're going to explore how shifting away from static, rigid rules and moving toward an ever-learning system can unlock just an incredible amount of productivity. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be walking through the broken planning paradigm, the continuous improvement cycle, how to build institutional knowledge, empowering your workforce, and finally, why we absolutely have to fix systems rather than blaming people. Let's get into it. Section 1. The broken planning paradigm. Let's take a hard look at the old assumptions that are actively holding companies back right now. We've got to tackle this old myth right out of the gate. The idea that planners plan and workers just execute. Deming pointed out that way too often, employees on the floor are treated like mere commodities. Management falls into this trap of treating them as simple cost-per-hour units, basically just expecting blind obedience. They hand down these mandated actions and completely forget to include the actual skilled craftspersons in decisions about their own work. And hey, if you've ever been micromanaged, you already know exactly what happens next. Absenteeism spikes, turnover goes through the roof, and you lose a massive amount of potential. This idea that planning is just plan, then do, is exactly what we need to completely abandon. Planning is not some one-way street with a brick wall at the end of it. The goal isn't just to write up a plan, toss it over the fence to a technician, and say, all right, do it, case closed. Deming's fifth point actually warns us against getting obsessed with just meeting specifications. Because when you treat a job plan as this static, unchangeable document, you are literally cutting off any chance for downstream improvement or waste reduction. There's a really stark contrast here. The old way is totally obsessed with hitting static specs and mandating set actions. But Deming's point 2 challenges us to adopt a totally new philosophy. The new way recognizes that planning should actually act like a living file service, one designed to capture and institutionalize plant knowledge. It actively begs craftspersons for their input so the plans actually get better over time. We just have to accept a simple truth. No procedure is perfect, and every single procedure can, and honestly should, be challenged. Moving into Section 2, the continuous improvement cycle. This is the ever-learning loop that drives real organizational change. You can actually visualize this evolution. We're shifting away from a generic straight-line process into what we now know as the classic Deming cycle. Now, Deming actually credited Walter A. Shewhart for this concept way back in 1939, but after it was introduced to Japan in the 1950s, it became globally known as the Deming cycle. It's a real game changer because it completely reframes planning from a one-off task into an ever-learning, continuous cycle of improvement. The absolute key here is that you must constantly run this PDCA cycle. Plan, do, check, act. Your maintenance planning has to live and breathe this exact loop. You plan the work, you do the work, you check the feedback coming back from your technicians, and then, this is the important part, you act on it to make the next plan even better. Deming's very first point is all about creating a constancy of purpose for improvement. In this new paradigm, plans aren't static documents, they are living processes. And honestly, this is the only way you stop repeating the exact same maintenance mistakes week after week. All right, Section 3, building institutional knowledge. Let's look at how we practically capture all of this cyclical learning we just talked about. This brings us to a really deep truth about maintenance. Planning requires both work orders and files. Instead of just cranking out work orders like a factory, a real planning system uses historical files. Whether that's an old-school manila folder with organized tabs or a modern digital database, these files aren't just annoying paperwork. They are literally the living brain of your maintenance department. They capture past feedback and actively use it to improve future performance. Which leads us to a massive concept: institutional knowledge. This is your shared store of ideas and past learnings. Your planning department is basically a service designed to institutionalize this exact knowledge. By getting skilled technicians to share their ideas, you accelerate learning across the whole team. Deming was pretty blunt about this. He said, a company absolutely must make use of the knowledge that already exists within it. Wasting that unused knowledge, he called it deplorable. But fair warning, shifting to this new way of working really challenges the status quo, so expect some serious resistance to change at first. That flows perfectly into Section 4, empowering the workforce. To actually capture that knowledge, we have to shift our focus from the mechanics of the process directly to the people who are running it.
These 4 points are Deming's non-negotiable mandates for people management. First, institute training. Deming believed the absolute greatest waste in America is failing to use people's abilities. Companies always think buying new physical equipment is the only way to improve net worth, and they treat training like a pesky balance sheet expense. We have to stop doing that. Second, drive out fear. Your employees need to feel totally safe expressing ideas or asking questions without retaliation. Third, remove the barriers that rob people of their pride of workmanship. And fourth, encourage education. We don't implement planning so we can just hire cheaper, less skilled workers. We do it to empower highly trained technicians to use their skills to actually fix and improve the plans.
I love this quote. Deming liked to point out a pretty funny mathematical reality. Half of everyone is even below average. It gets a chuckle, but he was making a profound point about eliminating numerical quotas for the workforce. Not everyone is perfectly average, so panicking because someone is below average is mathematically absurd. Because of this, a time estimate on a maintenance job plan, it's just a guide. It helps supervisors assign work, but it is absolutely not a strict mandate for the worker. In fact, relying heavily on strict work standards is usually just a symptom of bad supervision. Finally, we reach Section 5, fixing systems, not people. It is time to dismantle some of those beloved corporate tropes that are actually destroying productivity. Deming's point 10 tells us to eliminate slogans and exhortations. Actually, Deming particularly despised that classic poster slogan, "Do it right the first time." Why? Well, because it falsely implies that workers are in total control of their own output. It completely ignores the massive role the system itself plays. Think about it. If a technician doesn't have the right parts, the right historical file, or an accurate plan, telling them to do it right the first time isn't just useless, it's honestly insulting. We need a system that naturally guides people to do better instead of just yelling at an under-resourced workforce to try harder. So here is the ultimate test of the old paradigm versus the new philosophy. Think about this. Does wrench time, the actual time a technician spends with a tool in their hand working on a piece of equipment, does that measure the individual worker's effort or their personal ability to be productive? The answer is no. And I know that's a massive paradigm shift for a lot of people. The system actually dictates the final result way more than individual effort does. Wrench time doesn't measure a worker's effort. It measures the ability of the planning system to keep that worker productively employed. If your system fails to provide the right parts, correct instructions, or safety clearances, it doesn't matter how hard the worker tries. Their personal effort simply cannot overcome those systemic barriers. So I'm going to leave you with that provocative thought for the day. If your workers are struggling to meet their goals, look at the system first. Are you running a continuous Deming cycle of learning and improvement? Or are you just mandating static, rigid plans and then blaming the people when the system inevitably fails them? Take this perspective back to your own organization and take a really close look at your maintenance plans. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep challenging that status quo.